Let's bring in campus reform correspondent and UCLA student Justin Choi. Justin, what's your reaction to what's unfolding on your campus right now?
Yeah, so I was there last night at the UCLA protest at around 11:30 p.m. prime time. And the first thing I heard protesters scream, UCLA divest, from the river to the sea, Intifada, keep the Zionists out. And I heard a lot of these pro-Palestinian protesters, first of all, they're plotting how to keep these students, and even UCLA students, out from entering their own encampment. And I was able to hear this because I was on my scooter and I was in front of the barrier and I heard these students talking about that. And there's also one guy who was carrying a huge wooden stick, I guess sort of in a way to exert power. And a lot of people I've spoke to, not just students, but also adults around the campus they're very scared right now to go around and, because a lot of these people are giving them a hard time with whether or not you're trying to get to class and whatnot.
Well, let's talk about the breakdown of students. And I'm not looking for exact numbers. It's really a guesstimate. But what percentage would you say of your fellow UCLA students, and there are tens of thousands of them, support the protests that you're seeing on campus right now?
I think it's around 40%, if I'm being completely honest. It's probably 40 to 50%. And I think a lot of the people who are supporting this whole movement is maybe half of them are actually for Palestine, but I think a lot of them are also in this because of the trends we were seeing on TikTok, right? I mean, we saw what happened in the 2020 BLM riots, right? A lot of these people kind of saw what was happening and what was trending on TikTok and on social media, so they decided to go out and protest. So I think a lot of that has to do with that, but I also do believe a large crunch of them is also out there because they genuinely believe that Palestine is under attack.
Can you believe that this encampment is still standing 24 hours after the riot broke out? What are your thoughts on the college administration and how they're handling all of this?
No, yeah, it's still crazy. I think UCLA has been very weak with dealing with the protesters because buildings have been graffitied and it's disrupting with students and classes and regular students who want to enter a building. I know you guys had a Jewish student on a couple days ago, but he was not able to enter a building because they were not, just because he was Jewish, right? Yeah. And so UCLA should be doing a lot better. And when violence happened last night with during the protest last night at around 1 a.m., it took LAPD around three more hours after the whole event for them to even come in. So I think UCLA should have done a much better job in stopping this to begin with. And also one of our own reporters, a Daily Bruin reporter, was attacked for no reason. And and I think that's because UCLA was doing absolutely nothing.
And to that point, there have been calls for Chancellor Jean Block to resign, but you have to understand how the UC system works. Yes, there's some man in charge, in this case, Jean Block, but there are also the regents. And Justin, I have not heard a thing from them. Have you?
I have not either. We just got a statement from the chancellor this afternoon around 3 p.m. Pacific time. And that was kind of late in my opinion. That was honestly around 24 hours after the whole violence broke out last night around Roy Sall. So the chancellor has been complacent. It's been taking him so long for him to even issue a statement. And I've heard nothing from the regents as well.
Wow. Well, we just saw somebody holding a banner that said, UCLA faculty, we stand with our students. And that's in the encampment as police are potentially closing in on this thing. What's your experience with the professors? What has that been like?
Yeah, so I do know that a lot of the professors are out there supporting the pro-Palestinian side. But even before that, a lot of the professors here are, I wouldn't say a large portion of them, but a few of them definitely have their own agendas when it comes to indoctrinating children, indoctrinating college students. And so it's really not a surprise to see some college professors out there, but I hope that things will get settled down pretty quickly.
Wow.
Okay, but Justin, once this is over, how do you, and more importantly, how do your fellow Jewish students go back into a classroom with one of these professors? Because this goes well beyond, I have to take a class with a professor who doesn't share my point of view. That's what college is supposed to be. You're supposed to learn from divergent points of view. These professors are advocating at the end of the day for violence. So how can you head into a classroom with Professor X in a couple of weeks, if not next semester, and learn from this individual?
No, absolutely. And if Jewish students later on in the future are scared, I absolutely sympathize with them. But I think what the university needs to do is they need to be more strict, whether it's law enforcement or whether it's their own policies. UCLA needs to be strict in terms of how they deal with these people. And everyone has a right to free speech. Everyone has the right to protest. But people who actively call for violence, people who are out there saying stuff like intifada, UCLA has to be stronger and stricter and show the world and just show to our students that we cannot stand for that. And I think that's an important first step that UCLA must take.
And just to get a sense of what these protesters believe in, what they want, they've released a list of demands. Their demands include divestment, withdrawal all UC-wide and UCLA Foundation funds from companies and institutions that are complicit in the Israeli occupation. Those are their words. Disclose, provide full transparency to all about investments, donations, and grants. And then their last demand, Justin, is abolish policing, end the targeted repression and policing of pro-Palestinian advocacy on campus. So yesterday, this is according to Bill Malusian, our reporter who's down there among the protesters right now, he said the anti-Israel protesters at UCLA just held a press conference where they said that they were victims of a life-threatening assault at the hands of Zionists last night. They complained that police didn't do enough to intervene. However, their demands include abolishing police.
Sure.
What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I was just talking about it with some people around me. But earlier today in the afternoon, actually, the pro-Palestinian protesters held a press conference asking why there weren't enough police presence and that the police should have done more to ensure violence did not occur. But that's kind of funny because it contradicts their previous demand, like you guys said, of defunding the police and their chance of ACAB, which I probably won't say on live television,
Sure.
right? All cops are, and I won't have to say that last part. So it's kind of funny because that literally contradicts their previous demands of defunding the police and abolishing the police. So it's funny, and it's crazy if you want to know the truth.
Yeah. Justin, I'm sorry you have to deal with this. Unfortunately, this isn't like one of those schools like Columbia where they're going to get graduation in a couple of days to basically end all this. You're on the trimester. You got to deal with weeks more of this. You guys don't graduate until June, so I'm sorry you have to deal with this. It looks like there's no end in sight, at least for a while. Justin Choi, best of luck. Stay safe.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.